Many of the buildings and monuments we've spoken about before have lasted for many years before falling into ruin or being redeveloped. This is different. You could even argue it shouldn't be on this list. It was only ever intended as a temporary structure. However, when you look at the pictures, I'm sure you'll change your minds. The Victorian age saw many advances in technology, and they liked nothing more than to show them off. You'll all have heard of the great exhibitions of London, Crystal Palace, etc. But you may not be aware that Nottingham held two of these as well. In 1903, the Midland Industrial Exhibition was brought to the banks of the River Trent next to the Nottingham Forest football ground by two Hungarian brothers, Charles and Albert Kilrathi. Their father, the impresario Imre Kilrathi, had also been responsible for some of the big London exhibitions, so they were well qualified. The grand building was dubbed the Ivory Palace and was built in an Indian mughouse style. As you can see from the photographs, it was impressive indeed. The land was taken on a short-term lease, and the work began on the building at a cost of £50,000, which is around $425,000 in today's money. They weren't short of a few bob. Things didn't go well for them though. They employed two contractors who started at opposite ends of the building. Delays were experienced, and when the building was finally complete, the builders met in the middle and were a few inches, or depending on the sources, several feet out of line. Later reports suggested that parts of it were cheaply put together with highly flammable painted wooden materials over a girder framework. Within the grounds themselves there was a Canadian log flume, an American roller coaster reaching almost 100 feet high, miniature railway, Japanese tea house, hedge maze and a fairy river. There was even a photo studio, electric theatre and a concert hall. After 2 weeks of opening, a total of 320,000 people had visited the site, including King George V and Queen Alexandra. A local newspaper of the time reported that the enterprise is so American in its novelty, smartness and up-to-date completeness that one may be pardoned for suggesting, in a phrase very popular over the water, that it is the greatest thing in the way of entertainment that has ever happened in Nottingham. It all seemed too good to be true, and perhaps it was. On Saturday the 2nd of July at around 8:30 p.m, while the place was packed with many listening to the band of a Manchester regiment, smoke was seen issuing from the scenery at the rear of the Fairy River, ironically named for the second season, the River Styx. The fire spread rapidly, the dry timbers catching fire quickly, and it spread, engulfing large parts of the exhibition, before spreading to the Nottingham Forest Football Club next door and destroying the pavilion stand, dressing rooms and offices. Fortunately, there was no loss of life, but it meant that after a mere 14 months, the exhibition closed and the site was cleared, remaining empty for a number of years, until finally a large hotel was built in its place, later becoming the Civic Centre and then converted into apartments. And there ends the sad short story of the Ivory Palace, a unique but short-lived building. It would have been nice if the building had survived. The buildings after it obviously never had the splendour of the Ivory Palace. However, regarding the construction, I think there's a lesson for us all to learn there.